All right. Good afternoon, everybody, and thanks for joining us for our Module 4 webinar on your personal brand and how it is a direct reflection of your organization's brand. So my name is Laura Scarlett Tavares. I'm an Associate Director here at Interrise. Interrise is the national curriculum provider for the SBA's Emerging Leader Initiative. We've been working with the SBA since 2008, providing the curriculum for this program. Our main role is sort of twofold. One is those lovely binders you have in class, and the curriculum product is ours. It was developed by us. We began in 2004 as a not-for-profit here in the Boston area, and since then have expanded to 65 communities across the country. We also hire, train, and manage all of our instructors who instruct and teach, facilitate the Emerging Leaders classes across the country. So our facilitator for this afternoon's webinar is Kerin, who is our Emerging Leaders instructor in Washington, D.C., one of two. We have two Emerging Leaders cohorts with two separate instructors in the D.C. area. And he's been teaching with us since 2014. So with that, Tim, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Laura. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today. We know that you guys are heading into Module 4 and winding up the Interrise program, and we're glad that you guys have made it this far. And when we're going through this today, we want to keep in mind that this is about a 3-year growth plan. So what I want to cover today is heading into Module 4, as we state, we want to look at the covering of the resources for your staffing, because part of Module 4 is going to be talking about how you're going to build your staff and interview and type of people that you're going to be looking for. Also in Module 4, you're going to be looking at how you're going to access funding and private financial resources to help you grow, and then looking at opportunities that include government and private sector. And this is when you're going to be going after different type of opportunities to grow your business. Again, keeping in mind the 3-year growth plan and the type of people that you're going to be talking to as you go through this. So one of the key things that I wanted to emphasize on is that when you're trying to get to this point in your business and you're going out and meeting certain people, and that you want to be different than what your competitors are. And how you do that is going to reflect on your company. So when you're ready to hire in advance and opportunities, you're going to stand out and be noticed and be different from your competition. And the way we want to look at that is by building your personal brand. We always look at branding your business one way, but have you thought about breaking it down and looking at your personal brand? And the quote I have there, you only have one opportunity to make a lasting impression. Make the first one count. And this is all about when you're going to meet people and how you're going to look, and when you're branding yourself, to go over these things. So we're going to cover those type of topics in the next couple of segments of the slides. Next, Laura. This is a little bit about me, so you know who the guy is who's talking about on the other side. As Laura mentioned, this is my 3rd year as a facilitator for the Washington, D.C. for the Interrise Emerging Leaders Program, and I've really enjoyed it. It's been a wonderful program to get involved with. I own several different businesses. One, I own CEO roundtables I do, and we do executive retreats in Costa Rica. We have a villa in Costa Rica. And that I own over learning lessons in business. We do business consulting and networking. I'm owner of a commercial cleaning, commercial construction company. Several years ago, my wife and I wrote a book on how to build a successful business. It was about our lessons learned, our ups and downs. As I said, in Costa Rica, we own a villa that we rent out and also a private driving business. And if any of you guys have watched House Hunters International, we were on HGTV House Hunters International in March and enjoyed doing that with our Costa Rica house. That was a lot of fun, pretending to be a reality TV star for a day. And 14 years, we've been a construction vendor and suite owner with the Washington Redskins. I keep ribbing Laura that because Laura's a big Patriots fan, so her and I bet during the year. And because we enjoyed doing the reality TV show and we had so much success, we're in the process of trying to work on our own TV show. So that's a little bit about me. And again, if you guys have any questions during this webinar, please just email Laura and let us know how we can help you go through this. Next. What I'm looking at here is I just wanted to give you guys some food for thought here. the why and the what. Remember, we're looking at your personal brand and heading into Module 4. So why should I work for this company? This is on the employee segment, that when you're looking at people looking for jobs and there's so many people out of work, why should I be working for this company? And that goes into a lot of breakdowns with your brand that we'll get into. Why do all my employees think of me? What does the potential interview candidate see in me? Why is my staff not working to their potential? Why should we lend them the funding to grow? Why should I introduce them to my VC? Why would a banker trust you with their money? Why would a government project manager consider you? Why would I introduce you to my best customer? What makes you so different as a company and as an owner? And why should I pick you over other competition? And what is my competition doing that I am not doing? And what these all questions that if you sit and look at a little bit and digest as far as reflecting on you or your business are all going to start to affect in the very beginning your personal brand. The first couple questions is going over when we're talking about in Section 10 of Module 4 and looking in the development part of the people that you're going to be hiring. And these are not just questions that you're going to be asking your candidate, but these are questions that they're going to be thinking about in their head about you. The latter questions are more about when you're going out and looking for business opportunities for your growth over the next 3 years, and how does that affect your business. So these are some just the whys and the whats I want you to consider thinking about a little bit more. Next slide. This is a big quote that I like, and I wish if you guys can share this with your companies. It's really a powerful quote, and if you take time and read this and digest this, it's really, really interesting. If you look at I'm your competition, if you look at every minute you are late to work, you put me 1 minute ahead of your day. Every phone call you decide not to make places me one call ahead of you. The fewer customer appointments you make, the more I have. If you're unprepared for a meeting or an appointment, I never am. Every excuse you have for failure makes me stronger. When you fail to improve your skills, I'm constantly improving mine. When you fail to return a call, email, follow up with someone, I never do. When you start your day without objectives and goals, I'm busy achieving mine. Whenever you hesitate to close a sale, I'll close it. Each day I'm determined to beat you and win. I'm your competition. And this is a powerful statement here because, again, what we're trying to do is look at your personal brand. And if you go back and read over some of these statements again, that are you doing this? Are you looking in a mirror? Are you late for appointments? Do you follow up with customers? And, how are you starting your day? Do you have goals? Does your team know you have goals? And these are a really good bullet points to look at to start looking at your brand, and are you really beating your brand the right way? Because you remember the main goal is to be different and beat out your competition. Next, Laura. So we're looking at personal branding. If you take from the I am your competition quote, and we're going to break it down into personal branding, what it means, and we're going to break it down in 6 different topics as we go through this webinar. We're going to first talk about your appearance. The appearance is in general about you and how you look and how you act. Next is going to be your attitude and your time management. The third part we're going to look at is your ability to listen and help others. Fourth is your ability to follow up. Fifth is your surroundings and personal and business. And sixth is your social media presence. And are you Googleable? And we'll get into that a little bit more. The biggest thing you got to keep in mind is when we're looking at your personal brand, it's about what that quote says. It's what others are saying about you when you leave the room. Think about that. If someone is saying, hey, did you hear about this person or this person's business, what are they saying about you? And what are they saying about you and your business at the same time? So, again, thinking of this as growing your business over the next 3 years, if you build your personal brand the right way, then your reputation is going to continue to build more, and then you'll be able to look at more opportunities down the road. So we're going to go into the next slide and go into your appearance. So if you look at dress to be noticed in that, and if you look at the picture, it's the picture of me that I use for a lot of my social media. And that so if you look at the suit and tie, the smile, the haircut, the background, because we're in Washington, D.C., so we had a professional photographer take it with the Capitol in the background, things like that. So it gives you an overall idea of appearance. And that so it sort of represents that professional dressed in the Washington, D.C. area, that's where our business is based out of. So that gives you a quick, if you're just looking at the picture, that gives you a general appearance of what we are about. When you're dressing for events and meetings, number 2 on there, you got to look at this. If you're going to be going to a networking event or a social event or any type of event, can you dress and be noticed? Can you be a little bit different? Can you wear a bright color tie or a unique type of dress that stands out, a bright color, something that pops, that someone says, did you notice that person over there with the fuchsia tie, or something like that, something along those type of lines, so you stand out. Again, we're in business here to get business and to be different from our competition. So this is all building in to your personal brand. Your smile and your body language, when you're looking at this, is that when you're meeting somebody, and that are you always negative, and do you have a frown on? And people could read your body language. You've gone and heard so many people talk about, do you keep your arms crossed when you're sitting in a conference? That doesn't mean you're open. When we're looking at body language, if you're standing up doing a presentation, are you hiding behind the podium? Hiding behind the podium creates a barrier. When you're at a networking event or a chamber meeting, and you're asked to stand up to give your elevator pitch, which I know you guys all have worked on during class, do you grab the chair in front of you? Grabbing the chair in front of you creates a barrier. All those type of things play into your body language. So when you're meeting people or looking at business opportunities, these are things that sometimes other people pick up. How you shake someone's hand is so important. We want you to lean in, and when you handshake somebody, grip firm. Everybody doesn't like a wimpy handshake. So when you're shaking someone's hand, lean your body in and shake the person's hand. And sometimes we suggest for a female to grab the other hand on the outside, so you're reaching with 2 hands. So when you're shaking the person's hand, you cup the other hand. That's more of a genuine type of a touch too. That's a little bit of a tidbit we try to give people. And where to wear, it's not your name badge at events. And that, so when we look at you, if you're leaning in on the right, your name badge should always be on your right-hand side. This is, again, part of the appearance package. If your name badge is on the right-hand side, when you're leaning in to shake someone's hand, they're noticing your name as well as looking at your face. So these are some of the tidbits that you can look for building your personal brand for your appearance. Again, taking what we've just written here and putting it into context. Remember that in Module 4, you're going to be going out and meeting people and trying to promote your business. And your appearance is the first step of your personal brand to building your business. Next slide. Your attitude and your time management. A lot of things are broken down here, positive versus negative. Are you looking at things? People can get a read on you if you're positive or if you're negative, and they can generally gauge you as a person by some of these type of the way you look and the way you act. So when someone asks you a question, are you positive or you're negative about it? Your openness towards others. More stuff is that, are you receptive? Do you have that body language? Do you have that smile, that personality that listens to people and has that openness towards people wanting to talk to you? Sometimes people feel a little bit withdrawn and don't want to open up towards you because you just have that look like you don't want to be bothered with. So think of those type of things. Are you an opportunist, meaning that you hear something and then expand on it and give them and get all excited about what they're saying and say, look, here's an opportunity for you, and here's what I suggest, or here's what I found out. And that could come a long way, because that means then you are listening to what they're saying and you're going to provide an opportunity back for somebody. Accountability is a key component when you're looking at, are you accountable for what type of actions you're saying, or are you going to follow up with what you deliver on, and being responsibility. These are things that are missed in today's business world, and of your word has a lot to do with the accountability. If you say you're going to meet somebody and you're going to meet them and follow up with them on something, do you follow up right away? And do you get back to them, and are you a man of your word? On time or late? It's a lot of times when you're looking at this, when you're meeting somebody, again, if you're going to be meeting a banker or somebody to look at your business growth or a venture capitalist, you should be early, and are you on time? And that because if people want to introduce you to somebody, we always say in the business community that if I want to introduce you, can I introduce you to my best customer, to my mother? Now, my mother is 85 years old and Italian, and she doesn't hold anything back. So if you're late, she's going to let you know you're late. So think of those things as that if you're on time or are you late when you're walking into a meeting, and that it's always nice. You've got to respect everybody else's time. I've seen many people walk into meetings still on the phone. When you're doing that, you're just showing them that you can't manage your time. You have to be able to respect the person's time. Again, this is all part of personal brand, and the growth plan's in on time. I had to throw that one in. And when you're looking at this as from turning in your growth plans in on time, when the instructors ask for it, and if you don't turn them in on time, then sometimes you got to look at that and say that if you don't have your timing down right on turning things in or meeting deadlines, then sometimes people are going to look at that and say, well, geez, if I refer you to my best customer, are you going to do the same thing and leave a bad reflection on me? So always keep these things in mind because, again, Module 10, when we're talking about hiring people, if you look at all these things here, when you hire somebody, you're asking everybody to do this. You're asking your executive staff, you're asking your employees to do this, be on time, be accountable, be responsible. But are you are doing these same things? Are you looking in the mirror, and are you doing these same things? Because this is all part of your personal brand. Next slide. Your ability to listen and help others. Can you listen? One of the biggest things with being a CEO and running a business is that we think we know it all. We think we have so much to do, so much running around to do, and so many people to see and so many decisions to make is that sometimes we just don't stop and listen. So can you stop and listen to people? Because, again, if you're talking to a banker to grow your business and he's giving you some suggestions, are you listening to what they're saying? And so are you going to be able to build your brand that way and your personal brand? Can you listen and know when to help, and when to ask for help and get advice? Because when everybody has something for you that can help you. You don't know who they know that they can introduce you to, but you're never going to know what questions to ask unless you can listen. Do you know when to seek an opportunity? It's part of what we've talked about earlier in the earlier sessions about networking and marketing, and that is, do you have opportunities? Can you seek opportunities? Doesn't matter where you're at. And that are you that type of person that could build your personal brand that you look at opportunities and exploit them? Heading into these last couple sessions is that we're going to be looking at different opportunities to grow your business. So when you're looking at this, can you take those opportunities and seize them? And do you know what others do? It's not just, remember, in the business community and in networking, it's not just about you. It's about what others do. Because if you understand what others do, you may be able to help them, and eventually they're going to turn around and help you. So your ability to help and listen to others, and do you know how to refer others? And again, this is going back to some of the older modules that we went over about networking, is that when you're talking to somebody, if you're sitting down talking to a banker or a venture capitalist or a government contractor or anybody else that's going to help you grow your business over the next couple sessions that we're going to cover, is it can you help them refer? Everybody's got something they're looking for. Maybe a banker wants an introduction into somebody. Do you know how to refer them to somebody? But it goes back to the number one, can you listen? So think about that as you're going through this session and others, is it can you listen, can you help others? Do you know what type of questions to ask and can get feedback and notes to take so you can move forward with everything? Next slide. Your ability to follow up. What is your timetable on follow-up on emails and return calls? This is going towards when we're going over Module 10, Session 10, and we're looking at hiring people. And this creates your personal brand. This sets part of your identity up in your back office area. If you do not follow up with somebody within a certain time frame, what are they thinking? Again, keep in mind that if you're looking at your customer, if I'm going to refer you to my best customer and you don't follow up on to me, why would I refer you? So think about those type of things when you're doing emails and return calls. You, again, this is your personal brand. You can't expect your employees to do it if you don't do it. So what is the attitude of the follow-up in your office? What do your employees think of you? How are you following up on return calls and emails? What else can you contribute to make that work the right way? Business events and meeting follow-up. When we all look at going to different events, and we've had discussions, is it a waste of time to sit down and go over all these things meet people and go to all these type of events to grow my business and go around and meet different types of banking people and that to help me grow my business? Do you follow up if you exchange a business card with somebody? Do you follow up with them and immediately? I mean, you should be doing it within 24 hours. And in today's world, it is really astonishing to see where you get an email and somebody replies back to you, "Thank you for the quick response." And when I see that, sometimes I go, wow, you shouldn't be seeing those type of thank you for a quick response. That means the norm is people don't respond. So if you want to be different in your business and you want to set your personal brand, set your goal to follow up within 24 hours, because then you're going to be ahead of the curve on that, and people are going to be more respectful of you. Follow up on a task from a meeting. If you set goals during a meeting, whether it be with your staff or your banker or a venture capitalist or somebody that's looking at growth opportunity for your business, do an immediate follow-up. Set goals before you leave the meeting. Set deadlines. Say, okay, if the banker wants to see all your tax returns or things because you're looking at getting a credit line to grow your business, then set a goal. Say, when would you like that back, and meet that deadline. These are important factors because, again, based on relationships, bankers, once they're going to notice these things, they're going to be looking at, are you building a solid relationship? Do you deliver on what you commit to? And the lost art of thank you notes. This is an interesting concept, is that we look at some of these times as when we're going out to meet somebody. I don't care if you meet your banker or venture capitalist, or if you're meeting somebody to look at a business opportunity. And it doesn't just have to be your end user. This is developing your network and people all around you that will respect your personal brand. Do you spend any time doing thank you notes? And an interesting concept how you could do that is if you sit down and people say, the first thing out of people's mind is, I don't have the time to do that. What, are you kidding me? You're going to add this to me? Is it what you do is you sit down and you plan your meetings for the week, and you address the envelope on a Monday, have the thank you card sitting in your car. As soon as you leave the meeting, pull out the thank you card and just jot down something personal so it doesn't look like it's generic. Stick it back in the envelope and throw it in the mail. So this is a little trick to the trade. When you're looking at this, the handwritten thank you notes is becoming a lost art. And I've seen actual people that have done this that have benefited tremendously in business. So it's just something to be part of your ability to follow up. And then part of this is, too, is when we talk about business cards, when you're going out to different events, again, this is part of building your personal brand, is that when you go out to events and you pick up 30 business cards and you get home that night and you're saying, oh, my God, who am I supposed to follow up with? Or who'd mentioned to me that they want me to get in touch with them? What we try to do is, I know some people have a little bit of a trick, and it used to be the old days is that you never print on the back of the card, and the card's always white so you could take notes and that. And so nowadays people want to use the front and back of cards, and they're glossy so they're hard to write. So one trick of the trade is you could take the four corners of the card and use them to your benefit. As you're talking to somebody and you decide if that relationship is going to go somewhere, if it's somebody you need to contact immediately, means follow up within the 24-hour rule, is you take the top right-hand corner and you fold that down while you're talking to them. If it's somebody that you say, you know what, I'm just going to keep this card and follow up to them within a week or so, then you take the bottom right-hand corner and you fold that in as you're talking to them. Or then if it's somebody that you're saying, you know what, I'm just going to keep this card. I really don't think we have anything in common at the moment, but I'm just going to keep this in the office and file it. Then you take the top left corner and fold it down. And then if it's somebody that there's just no way you're going to have that type of relationship with, or somebody that's not going to be a benefit to you or your business, you take the bottom left-hand corner and fold that down. So when you get home, that card goes in the trash can. That's just a little hint we've tried to give people and that type of thing with looking at a business card trick. Next slide. Your surroundings and your personal business. Personal. We talk about balancing. Do you take enough time off? And again, you're saying, what does all this have to do with personal branding, and what does this all have to do with heading into Module 4? Again, what we're trying to do here is balance your business and personal, and balance you as an individual. This all plays into building your personal brand. You have to build your personal brand first before you can build your business brand. And how can you sell your business brand if you don't understand your personal brand first? So what you're trying to do here is take all this and build your personal brand to sell your business, to sell to other people, to build your business over the next 3 years. So when we look at personal brands, you take enough time off. When people have conversations about this, when you're talking to bankers or building relationships with different people are going to ask these questions. And believe it or not, some people remember that. So if you look at, do you know your family, and what is your family goal? Sometimes these conversations come up, and if you say, I don't have time for a vacation, or I don't know my family, or I don't know when's the last time we took a day off, sometimes people are going to take that the wrong way. You may act like you are the superhero, that you work 24 hours, 7 days a week, 52 weeks a year, but some people in their mind may say, you know what, that person is disorganized because I just took 4 weeks off this year, and I'm doing good in my business. So that's what we're saying here is on the personal branding side and breaking it down on your personal time is that you got to look at this a little bit deeper and with your family and understand that, because some of these conversations that come up when you're building your personal brand is people want to know you're a human being. You're not just a CEO and a business owner. You do have a family. And so you want to be able to elaborate more on that, because when you're sitting down talking to somebody, one of the key components is people do business with people they like and trust. So you've got to understand, people do business with people they like and trust. So by doing that, you've got to develop a personal relationship with people, and they're going to want to know about a little bit more of your personal life. So can you elaborate on your personal life when you're talking to somebody if those conversations come up? So these are some of the pointers that we just wanted to look at from the personal side that you should be asking yourself. On the business side, and we look at type of business events and type of business organizations you're associated with. If you see on the right, again, I always try to jab Laura because she's a Patriots fan, is that we're a vendor for the Washington Redskins and we're a sponsor for the Washington Redskins cheerleaders, and I go and speak to them about networking and branding every year. So what we do here is what you're looking at is I've branded my personal side and my business to a billion-dollar organization with the NFL. So are you branding yourself? Are you branding you or your business with a bigger brand than you are? It's just the way you can identify yourself. So when you're going to events, who are you associated with? I just saw a show the other night about Mike Singletary, the great NFL linebacker of the Chicago Bears, and he was talking about how he surrounds himself with great people because he wants to be great. So when you're looking at these type of things, are you surrounding yourself with the right type of people at the right type of events? Or are you just going to events to say you're going to events? So look at the types of events you go to and ask, are these the people that you want to be associated with? Because if not, you're not in the right arena, and because those aren't where the opportunities are going to be. So to grow your business, associate yourself with the right type of organizations to grow. This, again, reflects your personal brand, because when people, again, if you go back to the slide where we're talking about the quote, that people talk more about you when you're not in the room, people will then talk to say, well, do you know this person belonged to this type of organization? They're going to talk about those things. So make sure you associate yourself or your business with the right type of organizations. Giving back, it's a big thing on the business side. Do you give back? Is there a time where you could take a breath and give back to others and give back to the community? And are you capitalizing on that on social media so people know that, so people understand that you do give back and your organization gives back? That's an important part as people are looking at it. At a young business age, as you're trying to grow your business, it's all about you and you're focusing on your growth. But at this time, does your company take a few minutes and say, let's stop and give back to something else? And then are you capitalizing on that on social media, not just because you or your company has done this, but other people need to see you do this. And so it may be out on social media where your banker will see this, or venture capitalists will see this, or other people where you're looking at business opportunities, and then they're associating that give back with your brand. So I hope you can all understand how this plays into your personal brand. Next slide. Social media presence, as I mentioned on the last slide, and that how are you perceived on the World Wide Web? If you look at today's business and the way people are going, and this was an interesting fact, that in the next 3.5 years, 50% of the workforce is going to be millennials. We could do a whole webinar on millennials and get into some interesting discussions on this. But if you think about 50% of the business workforce is going to be millennials in the next 3.5 years. When the millennials right now carry a thing in their hand and they Google everything, and this is how they communicate. This is how they get jobs. This is how they talk to their friends. This is how they build relationships. This is how they break up with their boyfriend or girlfriend. This is how they just communicate. So when you're looking at the World Wide Web, is that this is, again, is building your brand, your personal brand, and your personal presence in the community and in the world. And that when a banker, when you're going to go talk to a banker, don't you think they're going to Google you, look you up on LinkedIn, look at your website, put in your name and see if you come up? So these are the things that you need to be aware of. This is all part of building this. So if you're looking at how are you perceived on the World Wide Web, is are you doing things to be noticed? And one of the topics is, can you become an expert? And what we mean by becoming an expert is people are always searching for answers. People, if think about if you're out looking for a new car, you're looking at what is the invoice, who has the best deal, who has the best sale, what are some closeouts, what are some of the reviews on the car. You're searching for questions. So don't you think if somebody is looking for a product or service that they're going to start Googling and trying to look for that? So when you're looking at that, the next sign has HARO, something that I've used, and it's been very, very fan-friendly, and it's very easy to get involved with. And HARO is Help a Reporter Out. Help a Reporter Out. And what you do is you can go on, you can Google www.haro.com, and what that does is you sign up for free, and it's all free. And what this does is any media outlet in the country, any type of media outlet in the entire country, looking for an expert to add to an article or a topic that reporters are doing on, they search and they look for common people to give interesting stories. And what this does is this sort of escalates you to be an expert in the field. That if you get picked up by one of these media outlets, and what I mean by media outlets, I mean some of them are the New York Times, the Washington Post, American Express Open Business Forum, all different types of outlets. There's some local stuff, there's some regional stuff, there's some writers, syndicated writers that write for many different news articles. So there's a lot of ways you can become an expert in the field. So when you're looking at this, again, going back to our original slide, is how you want to be different. Remember the quote about I am your competition. This is one way you could beat out your competition to be noticed. So it's HARO, and you get 3 emails a day, a morning one, an afternoon one, and an evening one, and you can scroll through and see if you want to be able to pick an article out where you can become an expert on. And how they set this up is that if companies that hire PR firms get the first crack at this like a day or two before it goes public. If the reporter doesn't get a good feedback from a PR firm, they put it out to the public. So then the public responds back, and then they'll pick an article. And how this plays in effect is that when you go up to number 2, how you become an expert. If you look at some of your products or services that you sell and there's an article that they're looking for, and you post an interesting article or comment about it and you get picked up, then you could take that article and send it to all your customers, and not just your customers, but your bank, your financial people, anybody that you want to send that article to. And this is a touch. This is a free way to touch. And again, this is building your personal brand because now you're becoming an expert in that field. So if you're looking at this, then once you have that article written, again, going up to number 1, that article that you have just contributed to HARO now goes on the World Wide Web. So then when someone is Googling your name, that article is going to come up. And then they're going to associate you not just with selling that product or service, they're going to associate you as an expert in the field. Again, that's part of building your personal brand. So this is some of the few points in how you can utilize the World Wide Web and get out there and use it. So what steps are you using to build you in your brand? Keep that in mind and come up with a list. And then try an example of keying your name and see where it comes up in a search. Put in your name, type in Google, and see what the drop-downs say. Do the drop-downs associate you with anything? So those are some key components that you can start looking at because, again, going back to where millennials are going to be doing a lot of the searching for your products or services, and that they're going to be using Google. So do the same thing when I was saying about you Google, you put your name in and then click on images. If you notice a picture tells 1,000 words, and that's why I put the picture of this is my wife Tracy, and this was us when we were on HGTV on House Hunters International. And you look at something that a picture tells 1,000 words, as she's telling me, no, this, this is, you don't have monopoly money, and that. But we were bantering back and forth about buying that home in Costa Rica. But what you're doing here is, if you've noticed on a business Facebook page with that they were going more on pictures, now LinkedIn is adding pictures. So pictures are more powerful than just content. So when you're starting to put out expert opinions or different things or putting something on LinkedIn, again, keep in mind this is building your personal brand, and that putting a picture there and the content, it picks up more a lot than just putting out the content. What does your LinkedIn look like? Do you have a professional profile picture? We don't want to see you on a boat with a beer in your hand or anything like that. You got to have the LinkedIn profile picture professional. Another thing we're looking at is going back on building your personal brand so you could build your business, is a lot of people put on LinkedIn that they are a CEO or they are president or something. So many people do that. Change it. Put your titles. What are you providing? What problem are you solving for your customer? Why do you think HRO puts out all those inquiries to get an article written? Because they're looking to solve problems. Why do you think the millennials are out there looking to do? Because they're Googling things to solve problems. So your LinkedIn profile, after your name should not just be your title. Everybody knows you're an owner. Change that and put what problem are you solving for your business. And that we did that, and on my LinkedIn it talks about how learn from our mistakes. And so we picked up a lot more press from that than just putting that we own several businesses. So that's what I was talking about, the title. What does it really mean to others? It doesn't mean anything. It's just a title. But if you put something that you're trying to help solve a problem, like you become an expert, like people Google you, that's where a key component plays into that. So what I'm looking here is that are you Googleable? Are you Googleable on the World Wide Web? Can people find you? Could people know you and know that this is your brand? And are you building the brand the right way? And again, if you could tie yourself to a brand, that's even better. So look at some different ways you can introduce yourself and your company to a bigger brand like I did here with HGTV, or I did with the Washington Redskins, and that plays on that a little bit bigger. Next slide. So I want to look at some takeaway and value items, and it starts with you alone. You can only build this and visually what you can see what others see in you. So the goal is to stand out and be different than your competition. I know we are so passionate about what we want to accomplish in our business, but we need others to see us in the same way. So it's not just about you, it's about what others see you and how others perceive you. And this is one time we should all be thinking about yourself and not others and build the template. So what I'm telling you on this part is look at yourself and then build your brand, and then that's the only time you should be looking at yourself, because then it's all about others. Next slide. So here's some homework that's a good task that we ask people to look at to try to do. And that we've had this, we did a retreat in Costa Rica, an executive retreat, and we were talking about couples and how couples perceive you and how your spouse perceives you in business. So we were sitting down and going over this with couples. We did like a newlywed game. And so people asked my wife, who's been in business with me for 28 years, and she does all our back office, and I'm out the one with the customers and the selling. And she says, well, how do you perceive Tim how do you perceive Tim in general? And so pictures there, and the pictures say that she's the workhorse and I'm the show pony. So that's why we have the two pictures. It's sort of funny, but if that's her perception of how we run the business. So if you look at this, make a list of how you think you're perceived at home and at work, and that ask your family or spouse or partner to describe you. And that's a key component. Ask someone at home how they would describe you. Then ask how you would trust at work to describe you. So you're not just asking someone at home, but ask somebody at work. And now review the differences and see what adjustments you need to make. It's just an interesting little task that we'd like you guys to try to do, and that sort of helps you with your personal brand that can take your business to the next level. Next slide. So this is my contact information, guys, if you have any questions or you need to get in contact with me. Again, the whole point of today was to be talking more about you and your branding and your business, and to keep in mind that to go to the next level, to meet those type of contacts, to meet those type of people that you need to be introduced to, first, it's not just getting a meeting. These are some steps you need to take in place to build to that meeting. And by building to that meeting, are you looking at your personal brand? Are you looking at, then you take this next step and look at your business brand, because that's the reflection that you're going to be having in front of other people. And so look at these type of things. Look at the steps you need to take in place to take it to that level. Look at how others perceive you. Look at how others would talk about you when you're not in the room, because your personal brand can sell. It's not just your product or service. Your personal brand could be a big selling point as you move forward with finalizing your growth. And then I thank you guys. If there's any questions, Laura, let me know. And I wish you guys all great success in finishing up the Emerging Leaders program.
Well, thank you, Tim. I think everyone was probably sitting there frantically jotting down on aha sheets or something, because we haven't had any questions come through yet. As a reminder, everybody's muted currently, so feel free to chat a question or send in your phone number, and if you would rather verbally ask your question, and we can unmute your line. But I think this was a really great transition. I think many classes are in Module 4 currently, but it is a good connection between Module 4 and also the marketing module, especially around the social media and web portion, and how you may personally be out there on the web, and also Googling your business too might be a good idea to see also what might be out there if you haven't looked at a variety of review sites, etc. So we'll end it here. We were recording this call. We'll get the link to the recording as well as the slides up onto iConnect or Rise Connect. You'll be able to view it there within the Emerging Leaders course. And you have Tim's contact information there as well. Feel free to connect with him if you do have questions or want to chat more with him. And I hope you all had at least one or two takeaways from this afternoon. So thank you so much, Tim. Thanks everybody for spending your afternoon with us. Take care.
Thank you, Laura.